All right now.
Patrick Mahomes is basically God playing quarterback.
Chiefs Kingdom
Live!
They want it. They wanted it.
And when it's grim, be the Grim Reaper. We'll go get it.
That's a different tier right there, baby.
Yeah, we're not having a snowball fight.
Three. No one's ever got three. I want back-to-back-to-back.
The Lombardi Trophy is a red and gold reflection. Touchdown! Kansas City! One of the greatest duos in the history of the National Football League. Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce.
Let's go!
Do it live! You gotta fight for your right to party!
It'll get handled when it gets handled.
Let's go!
Howdy, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's Chiefs Kingdom Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Real quick, if you would, before you forget, if you don't mind, make sure to click or tap that like and click or tap that subscribe. Help spread the word. Tell a friend. Tell a family member. Tell some Chiefs fans. Tell the person next to you in line at the grocery store. We'd sure appreciate it. Got an awesome show lined up tonight. The Chiefs are 3-0, first place in the AFC West, right where they belong.
Yeah, baby.
The league's crying about refs. The Chiefs are the new enemy, the new villain in the NFL. The days of fans being, this new Chiefs team and Patrick Mahomes, this is cute. We like this. Those days are over. So got another victory to talk about over the Atlanta Falcons on prime time. Another exciting nail-biting finish. Our man, Bo's not allowed to celebrate the Nick Bolton tackle to save the game because of how he voted in the poll a few weeks ago. But
Hunt had a good game, right, Bo?
Right.
He had a great game.
Got a big game. This is for an early season game. This game against the Chargers got some pretty big implications for the Chiefs and the playoff race, and especially considering how the season finishes up. So we're going to talk about that. Kareem Hunt is back on the Chiefs 53-man roster. You know, I was sitting there thinking, I was watching the pregame stuff, Sunday Night Football, and they were showing Carson Steele's pet alligator, Crocky J, said, with his Chiefs hat on, and like Kareem Hunt's back on the team. It's wild time right now to be a Chiefs fan and to be a member of Chiefs Kingdom, but I'm loving every minute of it. Before we get into the show, lots of good things to talk about. Fellas, how are we doing tonight, Bo?
Doing good. Settling here in Tulsa. I got to give it up to, these Oklahomans. Ton of Chiefs fans here, man. Driving around the city, checking out like bumper stickers, license plate covers, dice in the mirror. Just like, all right, these are my people. I'm home. So, no, I'm doing really good. 3-0, nothing to complain about. Not the greatest win, but hey, we're stacking W's, so I'll take them. Nick, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, except for the fact that I got halfway through the games on Sunday. I was like, I wonder what my record is going on this week, and I looked, and I didn't hit save, so I hadn't won any games in the first.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Freaking week, dude. It sucks. So I got the second half I put in, but other than that, it's been good, man. We're house hunting right now. We might be buying a house, might not be. We're still working on that, but thanks, man.
Yeah, Oklahoma, I mean, Chiefs Kingdom knows no boundary, right? But they're right there kind of on the fringe before you start getting into cowboy territory there. Big Doug and Laney, big Chiefs fans there in the great state of Oklahoma. So let's just get into this game.
Neighbors now.
Right, yeah, there you go, man. I have to make a trip down there and see you guys. So Chiefs win. Beat the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday Night Football. Another game where Chiefs maybe didn't play the best. Defense starts sluggish. Chiefs have turnover after essentially moving the ball up and down the field on the Atlanta Falcons. Another game that maybe was closer than it should have been. I'm trying to think. The final score in that game was what?
22-17.
22-17. That's right. A good win. Atlanta, I don't think they're a terrible team. I don't think they're a top-tier team, but just overall thoughts on the game before we kind of break down what we thought some key moments were, and we'll obviously talk about the game-saving tackle by Nick Bolton on fourth down there at the end. Nick, overall thoughts on the game, how you felt watching it?
Look, winning ugly is still winning, and the Chiefs they just can continue to figure out a way to win games. You know, you're sitting there and you're thinking, damn it, dude, like are we gonna lose this freaking game after all of this? Are they gonna go down and get a touchdown? And then Nick Bolton, guy that I voted that we should have paid a big contract to, unlike some other people on the show, just explodes through the line on fourth down and just wins the game. He calls game. Mahomes, in a little bit of propaganda for the, again, anti-turf community there, was like, I basically almost blew out my knee just trying to kneel out on this crappy turf, which was scary for all Chiefs fans. But yeah, look, it was a good win. It was a good win. The offense, I think, will get going, but it's good that the defense appears to be, rounding into form here despite some early part of the game woes. So what did you think, Bo?
No, yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's fascinating to watch this team kind of struggle. It wasn't a pretty win, both offensively and defensively. It was really sluggish to start, as Scott mentioned. But as we're stacking the wins. These other teams we're playing against, though, have to play perfect football against us. Perfect time management. Oh, you missed the opportunity for a field goal. Oh, that's going to actually cost you in the long run, right? These teams are having to go by the book, make sure they're making all the right moves. And we're just kind of like, oh, man, whoops, another interception, just strolling through and just collecting W's. So it's just a really interesting time. Man, it's really kind of reminiscent of last year a little bit. Just like, man, I'd really like to see this offense start clicking. We have all the pieces this year. And luckily, our defense is right where it was last year, coming through in the clutch. That last play spoke for itself, but there was plenty of other defensive plays we'll get into a little bit later that really stood out. So defense, again, coming through.
Yeah, the defense for the third straight week looked bad on the opening drive for the opponent, and then locked down after that. It's just glaring to me how much better the Chiefs are than all these other teams, and they have multiple turnovers, and they are below 50% touchdowns in the red zone and at the goal line and kicking field goals from the 3-yard line.
Right.
And they're still winning. That's just how much better they are than the rest of the NFL right now. Look, if they could put the ball in the end zone even just a little more frequently at the goal line and in the red zone, these scores, these games would look a lot different. You'd be looking a lot more like the Chiefs doing, like the big talk right now again in September is, look at the Bills and all these blowout wins they have. I don't think the Bills have played the level of competition the Chiefs have. I know the Ravens are a 1-2 team, and now the Bengals are 0-3, but those two teams are better than their records. The Bengals have shown that they can start slow, finish strong. I still expect them to be there in the playoff race there at the end of the season. The Ravens, they got a nice win over the Cowboys. Looked like maybe they figured out something with the running game, and Derrick Henry got going again. So that's just where I take away. And they lose players, right? You lose Hollywood Brown. I hope John V is not watching right now, or any of our Niner faithful. But look, the deal is, look, the 49ers, they lose their starting running back, Christian McCaffrey. They lose one of their best, if not their top wide receiver. Some people might argue that Brandon Ayuk is their number one wide receiver. But Deebo Samuel is, like, sure. If Brandon Ayuk is 1A, then Deebo Samuel is 1B. They lose Deebo, they lose their starting running back, and they get back-to-back losses. The Chiefs lose their starting running back. They lose Hollywood Brown before the season starts. They're 3-0, right? That's just how much better the Chiefs are than all these other teams. They can overcome injuries. They can overcome turnovers. They can overcome penalties and still win the game. So was I a little nervous when the Chiefs had to punt there at the end of the fourth quarter?
A little bit. little bit.
And
Yeah.
I was.
We should have put it out on the Chiefs Kingdom Live social media account. I thought about texting it out. How dumb was it of the Falcons not to kick the field goal on the drive before and to go for it? Like you would have been a chance to hold the Chiefs to 3 and out, which they got. I know you can't always say that because the outcome changes when circumstances change. You can't necessarily say that everything out the sequence of events would have played out exactly the same had they kicked the field goal, but they got the 3 and out and were forced to have to go down and try to get the ball in the end zone because they didn't kick the field goal. So shot themselves in the foot there a little bit. But
you guys see Ludacris before the game sitting there mentioning, he's like, I love this crowd. I love this town. Obviously huge Atlanta guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about how, oh man, if we win this, we're going to celebrate like it's our Super Bowl. And that just to me kind of like set the mentality of the whole game,
Week
right?
3, bro.
You're just like, woo, yeah, right. Your Super Bowl. Like, yeah, you're all right. You probably focus on other things, but yeah.
Right. They were saying that was the biggest game in that stadium's history, which it's only been open for this is the 3rd season there at that Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. An impressive facility. But the Chiefs go in there and they get the win on prime time over the Falcons. I think the story of this game is the defense. Again, like we put out on the Chiefs Kingdom Live X account. If you're not following us there, if you're not following us on Facebook or the Instagram, you can find us at Chiefs Kingdom Live. The Chiefs have held Derrick Henry and Bijan Robinson, 2 of the top running backs in the NFL, to like just essentially 2.5 yards a carry combined. Bijan Robinson, he was less than 2 yards a carry. Derrick Henry was barely scraping there above 3. This Chiefs defense, they started the first 3 drives of the game slow and kind of look like Swiss cheese, and you're a little worried. And you're like, man, what's going on with these? But then they locked down after that. Obviously, the big stuff on the run there by Nick Bolton to save the game against the Falcons. Nick, this Chiefs defense looking like they're kind of picking right up where they left off. They still haven't given up 28 points or more since the Super Bowl against the Eagles, one of the longest streaks in NFL history. Chiefs defense, what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, it's interesting to see, and it's been more than just the past couple of games, but this happened last year too, where it's like that vast success by opposing teams on the first drive or 2, and then it's like the Chiefs just figure out what they're doing and are able to totally lock it down. So it seems like, I had my concerns when I might not want to share with the internet the text messages from our text thread when the Falcons went right down and just walked their way into the end zone on the opening drive of the game. But look, they were able to figure it out, stop a really, like you said, another really good running back from having a lot of success, force Kirk Cousins to throw the ball. Now, look, the Falcons did have a couple of key offensive linemen go out, right? And Chiefs fans, we understand what that can do to a team, but the Chiefs capitalized on that, right? And after that happened, they locked him down, and there was a point where they're like, the Falcons haven't had a first down in the last 15 minutes gameplay,
right?
And so they were able to capitalize on that. They're making smart plays. They got a fortunate call on, should have been pass interference on 3rd down, but look, that I talked about this on my Twitter account. Didn't decide the game, right? There was plenty of time left where the Chiefs offense, if the Falcons had scored from the 1, which, I don't know if you watched the rest of the game, but they weren't doing very good in short yardage situations. But if they had scored a touchdown from the 1 there, then, I think the Chiefs would have been able to go and close the game out still. Because our offense seems to deliver when they absolutely have to. But yeah, there's not enough good things to say about how the Chiefs defense played and how they've really kept us in games this year, right? I mean, you look at 3 turnovers against the Bengals. The Chiefs are still able to win it because the defense gave up a lot of yards but didn't give up a ton of points, right? The Ravens game, and
defense scored a touchdown, right?
And
against the Bengals.
Yeah, it's huge. So, and the Ravens game, right? Like they really just kind of kept the Ravens quiet. The Ravens made a push there at the end. almost were able to either, tie or win the game with the touchdown that ended up being reviewed as out of bounds. But yeah, look, it's a great thing to have because this allows the offense like the time to form, and we can still win games, right? They can still be rounding out, and also they don't have to exhaust their playbook. The Chiefs, they're able to kind of hope to peak later and open up the playbook later in the season, as opposed to maybe some games those where they come out looking like Superman and then have a mid-season slump. So,
Bo, the Chiefs defense impressing here early in the season. Have they sustained this, keep this up? What are you seeing out of them that you're liking the most?
Yeah, dude, I think there's no reason that they can't sustain this. I'm really impressed by all the layers right now. The linebacking core kind of made up for some slumps they had the first 2 weeks this week, especially Nick Bolton. But you can see Drew Tranquil in there too, sliding around. He blew that first pass coverage, right? But then it's a game of like making up your mistakes, right? Learning from your mistakes and moving on. And you could really see that he did that really well. Didn't make that mistake again. But I'm really super focused and impressed on the defensive line. I really like what Chris Jones is doing. I mean, he didn't have a huge game, but when you take 2-3 guys to block you, it opens up everybody else. And like I said this last week, we're seeing so many guys on the inside just having field days. Chenal, Pinnell, Wharton, right? Like they're just chomping at the bit, getting to the quarterback, making him feel uncomfortable. Really liked what Connor's doing. I mean, that guy is having himself a season already. It's only week 3, but talk about like a guy you got to take note of when you're on the field is that guy. Just really liking what they're doing for supplementing our offense right now. Our offense, as Nick said, off to a slow start. You really like to see them do a little bit better, but perfect time for our defense to just be in perfect form and getting the stops like you guys want to see. I think that was one of your guys' biggest complaints last week was that we didn't get enough punts. Saw a couple of those, saw sacks, saw turnovers. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that out of a defense. Super thrilled with all 3 levels on the defensive side.
Yeah, their ability to stuff the run has impressed me to start this season. They have faced top shelf talent at the running back position and teams with good run schemes. And traditionally, I mean, the Ravens are known for running the ball, right, and playing defense. Then they go out and they get Derrick Henry. And the Chiefs shut him down. Bijan Robinson is like a phenom. The guy is capable of any time of just completely taking over and dominating a game.
He's so good.
He looked like a practice squad player. I mean, he was getting nothing. Up front, Leo Chenal's taken up. You look at the Nick Bolton play to save the game. Leo Chenal takes on 2 offensive linemen basically and knocks them out of the thing. Right. And gave Bolton the opportunity to run through there clean, untouched, and get Bijan down for the loss on the 4th down, which basically iced the game away. So, Trent McDuffie is impressing. Teams, I was looking at it. It's still amazing to me that he does not have a career interception yet. But when you look at the targets to him, teams are not throwing the ball. Wherever Trent McDuffie is at on the field, they are not throwing the ball his way.
And that's usually opposite their wide receiver 1, right? Which is awesome for us.
He'll follow the top guys sometimes, but so he's kind of taken over for L'Jarius Sneed as that top cornerback position. They've filled in and the loss of Willie Gay, right, and Leo Chenal has come in. So next man up mentality on the defense, and they are killing it. Nick Bolton with the game-saving tackle. Really good to see that for that guy. He missed I saw Jason Dunn was talking about this on the show he does, Chief Concerns, where he was saying, look, man, it's going to take Nick Bolton missed pretty much all of training camp in the preseason with injury. He's not in game shape right now. That turned out to be prophetic. He's like, look, by week 3, he will be in game shape. And Nick Bolton looked like Nick Bolton again. And so for him to come in and have the fortitude there to hang in there and come in and get the game-sealing tackle after a couple of weeks where even he would admit he was not himself and he didn't play the best. Looks like maybe he's getting into shape and is recovered and getting past that injury that he suffered there in training camp and missed the preseason. So really happy for Nick Bolton there. Defense, you can't say enough about them keeping Chiefs in these games in this streak of keeping teams below 28 points or less. And a lot of those games are like below 21 points or below 20 points. When the Chiefs are doing that,
right, just a few outliers.
Even with the offense struggling, so to say, the Chiefs are going to win a lot of games still, as evidenced by the perfect record, 3-0. Talk about the offense real quick. Rashee Rice is on another level, on another planet right now. This guy is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Rashee Rice looking like he hasn't missed a beat since he really took over as the top option in the passing game the second half of last season and into the postseason. What are you liking about Rashee Rice?
Yeah, he's been a driving force behind our offense this year. Like what's impressive to me is he's leading the league right now in yards after catch. And I mean, he's getting contact and he's able to, he's like spamming his spin move. Like if you're playing Madden, the dude that's just like tries to spin move all the time. But I mean, it works. It's working.
I hate that guy.
Yeah. I was that guy, but it didn't work when I did it.
Right.
But yeah, he's just really like slippery and he's running good routes. He's getting open. And yeah, we're just fortunate that he's performing because we're not getting a lot of productivity maybe out of some of the other guys on our team. So.
Yeah, and filling in with the loss of Hollywood Brown, there's some people saying that Chiefs lost their number one wide receiver before the season started. Rashee Rice was always going to be the wide receiver one on this team, especially with the way he produced last year. Rashee Rice, Bo, you have a chance to pick him up on any of your fantasy teams, and what are you seeing out of him that you're liking?
No, didn't get him on my teams, right? Same situation with you, just pick of the barrel sometimes, but no. I'm loving the relief he's providing for Patrick Mahomes. As Nick pointed out, a lot of our guys that are usually the go-to guys aren't really necessarily open. I don't know whether that's, just not the right time right now, if everybody's not on the same page, or defenses are dedicating 2-3 guys to certain other personnel. But I mean, it's certainly a great relief for Patrick Mahomes. Seems to be consistently open, understands the field, knows where to be, able to sit in pockets against the zone and beat guys one-on-one when it's man. So, I mean, that's just all you can ask for from a receiver. But I'm loving his size and his confidence too. Like normally the Chiefs have been going like small and like really tiny and fast. He's really fast, but he's also big and stout too. So he can go up and moss people, get over them. Really sure-handed. Like I said, just really love the relief he's providing right now, in the sense that I thought a lot more guys were going to step up to the plate and they haven't. So yeah, awesome receiver.
Yeah, no, he suffered a little bit of the dropsies, right, in the preseason and the first part of last season. That was really the thing that was kind of holding him back from being a dominant guy, and I kind of feel like was really holding him back from getting snaps and maybe overtaking Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore and MVS and some of them guys last year for some targets. But he's really cleaned that up, and the guy is catching pretty much everything that's coming his way. I think he had one pass, and it was a little bit behind him that was a drop that maybe would have converted a third down. But other than that, the guy is catching everything Patrick's throwing his way. He had the long bomb touchdown catch against the Bengals. He's showing the ability to be a possession receiver with 12 catches on 14 targets against the Falcons. The dude's moving the chains. Nick, you mentioned the yak guy. This guy is doing it all right now at the wide receiver position. So would really like to see somebody else step up. They talked about, Andy Reid did, about Travis Kelce and the kind of lack of his production. And he's like, look, guys, we're drawing stuff up to him, but he's drawing double, triple coverage at times.
Yeah.
Teams are like, Travis Kelce is not going to beat us. After about 15 years, teams have finally wised up and figured out, hey, we're not going to let Travis Kelce beat us this week.
87.
So I would really like to see another guy in the pass game step up. I don't know if Xavier Worthy can be that guy. He's still really young and a rookie, and force teams to kind of get away from just swarming Travis Kelce. But yeah, the offense looks good. Isaiah Pacheco misses the game with the ankle injury. Carson Steele steps in. Samaje Perine was kind of a running back by committee between those two guys. Carson Steele comes in. He looked a lot like Isaiah Pacheco to me. Tough running, hard runs, breaking tackles, dragging defenders for extra yards. Bo, not much of a drop off with Carson Steele. Did you see anything?
No, I mean you kind of lose a little bit of explosiveness, but no, like that guy's able to get past the first layer, beat a first guy, or just plow right through his first guy, right, and get an extra 3 or 4 yards when it looks like this is a 1 yard run. Really loved what I saw from him. I think he had 17 carries or something like that, 70 yards, 76 yards or something like that. Might be off a little bit on those numbers, but no, I mean, hell of a job to step up and fill up those big shoes. Isaiah Pacheco runs hard and fast, and man, did we really lean on him last week? I was just like, shit. All right, I guess we're gonna see a big aerial threat, but they trust him, they like him. I guess he's proven his worth, and they kept giving it to him 17 times for a rookie. So it's nothing to balk at when it's week 3 in the season, right? So hats off to him, man. I think he stepped up really well.
Yeah, no fumbles, held on to the ball.
Yeah.
He picked up a first down that the Chiefs got robbed on. It was clearly over the line, right, when he went to the ground. I was expecting a little bit more out of him at the goal line, but they did the weird thing where they snap it to him. And, I mean, when you do that, the defense automatically knows, well, he's going to run it up the middle. So I don't know what they're doing with that. They did the same thing. I'm trying to think, it was against the Ravens. They had a wildcat formation play there inside the 10-yard line that kind of blew up on them. I'm not a big fan of snapping the ball to anybody other than Patrick Mahomes, but at the goal line, snap it with Patrick and hand it off to Steele. Let him get that running start, right? Like, let him get a head start as he's plowing into the line. When you snap the ball directly to him, he's got to catch the snap. Then he's got to start going. At that point, the defensive line, right, has already started pushing. So I think he lacks the ability to kind of catch the ball out of the backfield that Isaiah Pacheco has been showing, and maybe that next gear as far as breakaway speed. And Bo, you mentioned explosiveness, but he came in and he handled the role. Next man up again. We were talking about next man up on the defense with the departure of some of the guys last year. Nick, Carson Steele, looking like a really good undrafted free agent pickup by this Chiefs front staff again, right?
Yeah, he's super physical in how he runs, like you guys said. He's taken, and it's really been the last 2 weeks, right? Because Pacheco's doing it the week before, but the Chiefs are proving that they can actually run 8 or 9 yards up the middle on first down consistently over the last couple of games. And so when you're getting those types of runs from physical guys, and you're going into second and short situations without having to throw the ball, I think it really helps the offense click, right? And it opens up more things that they can do. Second and short is, the great passing down. I agree with you that I was, just disappointed with our, goal line offense. But I think at this point, when you've got a guy like Steele that, and Pacheco too, that really, can plow into guys and truck guys, there's just something off about what the Chiefs do in the goal line and how they're executing from a blocking perspective. Maybe it's play calling, Scott, like you said. I don't know exactly what's different, but it's like once they get to the goal line or they get in a third and short situation, they're just not able to get the push, right?
No.
Like they're getting pushed backwards. Just like if you look at that, the reverse of that, the 4th and inches to end the game effectively, where like the Falcons were trying to run outside zone, like their line gets pushed backwards, right? And when your line is getting pushed backwards, you can have a great running back, but if he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage by 1 or 2 guys and with the goal line defense in, like you're not going to score. Right. So I don't know how much I'm blaming him in that situation. It's been like a problem with the Chiefs for quite a while now. Yeah, for years, right? I mean, it's so weird. Like I feel better on 3rd and 16 than I do on 3rd and 1.
It's true.
Like I just feel
definitely
like,
3rd and 6.
Yeah, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10. Like I'm like, okay, it's all right. Patrick's gonna find somebody right now. Are they gonna get the ball to him or not? Like that, or is he gonna catch it? But I just feel like our short yardage situations, just the execution is lacking there for whatever reason. So, but I think Steele looks great, man. There's not a huge drop off. I think not a lot of carries, but when Scott and I were chatting earlier, we looked it up, and I think Pacheco through this season was averaging 4 yards a carry, and Steele's at 3.8. you told me that we were
nice.
gonna, get essentially the same productivity out of him after Pacheco went down, I'd say, I'm all for that. I hope Pacheco heals up and he comes back as soon as possible. But it's great to have that deep roster there. So,
right. Janet brought up while we're talking about the Chiefs offense, Kareem Hunt is on the Chiefs 53-man roster. Janet was asking, can he help? I know Kevin said he wants to see anybody other than CEH. I'm trying to think of who it was. I saw it scroll by there. It was talking about Pirine is a decent guy catching the ball out of the backfield, but he doesn't look like maybe he's got the speed there. Kareem Hunt coming onto this team, I would love to see him take over that like third down back role, right? And be the backup to Isaiah Pacheco, a guy who can get out there and give you kind of what Pirine's giving you, maybe at a little bit more explosive level. He gave a press conference today and the Chiefs at Arrowhead, and he says he's ready to shock the world and show everybody he's still got it. Man, if that dude's got 75-80% of what he had when he was here the first go around, the Chiefs have just added a serious weapon. You can give Isaiah Pacheco a little bit of a break. Maybe you don't have to like rush him back or bring him in after the injury. Kind of give him a chance to come back in, manage the load a little bit. I'm expecting Kareem Hunt to be good. Am I expecting 2018 Kareem Hunt to come in here? No, not necessarily. But I think he's going to give the Chiefs something, and I think he is going to be a productive player. He was a hell of a player as the backup to Nick Chubb. I mean, hate to keep talking about fantasy football or my fantasy football team, but he was the backup and he was a starter on your fantasy lineup, man. The guy was catching passes, scoring touchdowns, getting yards, man, as a backup. Still very, very productive. Nick, how excited are you to maybe see Kareem Hunt suit back up against the Chargers? And what does he bring? I mean, I would definitely love to see him just replace Clyde Edwards-Helaire on this team.
Yeah. Look, there's an old saying, right? If you love somebody and they get drunk and assault somebody and then lie to you about it, let them go. And if they come back, just hope they're not too old and washed up. So,
right.
I'm curious to see what he has in the tank. He was a touchdown scorer for the Browns last year. His yards per carry weren't great. But the Browns were, offensively like a fairly dysfunctional team last year with a lot of things changing. He wasn't the premier back. If he can come in and he's always had a nose for the end zone, right? There's guys that just for whatever reason they're able to find a way and make it work. And I just hope that he still has that, right? Like I'm a believer in giving people second chances, and I think the Chiefs did the right thing by letting him go, even though like Scott and I were talking about when we let him go, and we're like, man, that sucks. Like, that all transpired because we were like, that's when we felt like we lost the ability to win the Super Bowl that year. Because that team with Kelsey and Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Kareem
We've
Hunt,
talked about it. They had the best quarterback, the best tight end, the best wide receiver, and the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah, it was just an unbelievable offense. And so the Chiefs did the right thing, right? By letting them go. Didn't keep him out of the league. Somebody else was, more than willing to give him a shot. And now, it seems like whatever transpired between him and ownership, they're willing to give him a second chance. So I hope it's a swan song for him and he comes back in our time of need and he really can get some valuable downs. I agree with you on third down back, right? Carson Steele had some pretty good pass pro where he was getting in there, but I think some of our passing was related to, I think somebody was talking about the left tackle. I forget which comment it was, but I feel like Patrick's not comfortable with the line right now, and he doesn't feel like he has enough time.
For sure, I agree.
I saw a graph where actually our receivers, are getting open, but he's just really kind of not getting the ball out to him. And we know that Patrick Mahomes isn't like, he's not over the hill. He's 29. He's in his prime still. He just won back-to-back Super Bowls. So hopefully he can get somebody back there. Somebody has lots of reps with, that he trusts, and that can help him in that situation, as well as, hopefully Kareem still has enough in the tank to get us through until Pacheco comes back.
Yeah, Bo, Kareem Hunt, what do you think we're going to see out of him now that he's back on the Chiefs?
Well, I think it's safe to say he's definitely gonna be playing, right? Since he's doing all the media, everything.
Yeah, no, he's going to play.
But no, we were talking before the show a little bit about how good he still is. I mean, yeah, obviously he's not in his prime and he's not super young anymore, but when we saw him in Cleveland, I mean, he was no slouch, man. When Chubb went down, he stepped right up. I think he had 9 or 10 touchdowns. His yard per carry weren't great, but I mean, as Nick pointed out, just a nose for the end zone, and I think that's kind of what we're missing, especially in those short yardage situations. Just somebody that can get across the line really well. I think he brings just that threat of an explosive player, of an A-level player that defenses have to take note of him when they get out on the field. They're like, all right, where's he going to be? There he is. What down, or like, they really makes them analyze the situation, what down they are, where they're at on the field. Like, okay, this guy's on the field now. I just, when that tape came out, I was so sad. I loved him so much. I thought he was so good. He was so fast. One of those players that could just find seams and holes, just a great feel for the game. I felt like I was still one of his advocates. I'm not going to go in too much to it, but I agree with Nick. It was the right decision. We had to let him go. It is what it is. But I was super happy to see him play somewhere else and do well somewhere else, even though he had to play the number 2 role backup. I thought it showed a lot to his character that he could sit there and be that number 2 and still be productive. And when number 1 goes out, he stepped right up and did it. I think he brings a lot to this, dude. As Nick pointed out, I think he brings a lot what Pacheco was missing. Sure-handedness out of the backfield, but I think what we're really missing was that blitz protection package from our running backs that he's going to be able to kind of step in. He's a bigger dude than some. I mean, Carson Steele's no slouch, but like Pacheco's a little smaller. P. Ryan's a little bit smaller height-wise. Get a bigger guy back there getting some blocks in on these rushers. Give Patrick Mahomes a little bit more time. I think it'll help tremendously in seeing the aerial threat develop a lot more. So really excited to have him back. I think he's going to do wonders for us.
Yeah, look, if he could come in and have that Jerick McKinnon role from the last couple of years, right?
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
I think he could slide into that role. No slide against Samaje Perine, but I haven't seen like the explosiveness out of him. He's caught passes. He made some decent plays for this team. So I'm not saying the guy has been a bad addition, but I just feel like Kareem Hunt could be an upgrade and give you kind of like that Jerick McKinnon role here the Chiefs had the last couple of seasons. Who knows if Clyde Edwards-Helaire comes back to this team afterwards. It's going to be interesting what the Chiefs are going to do, because like when Pacheco comes back, you're going to be sitting there with Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele, Samaje Perine, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like there's not room for 5 running backs on this team.
Yeah. Even
if you want to consider Carson Steele a fullback, there's going to be an odd person out at that point. It's going to be interesting to see who that is. But we don't have to worry about that for a few weeks, because unfortunately, Pacheco, it's looking like it's going to be at least another month before he comes back. Big game coming up against the Los Angeles Chargers Sunday out there on the left coast in Los Angeles. This game,
be a left coast.
What's that?
So why's it got to be a left coast?
I don't know. When you look at a map, it's on the left-hand side of the map. So,
left.
Look, this game is, I don't want to say a must-win. It's a Week 4 game. It's early in the year. It's a road division game. Most teams look at a road division game as, like an acceptable loss, right, or something like that. It's like, if you're going to lose to a road division team, that's not the worst thing to happen. Look, with the Chargers losing to the Steelers last week, the Broncos and Raiders are both sitting there with 1 win. You could put some serious distance on those 2 teams and get 2 games up with the road win over the Chargers, the second place team in pocket after 4 weeks. This is a big win if the Chiefs can go out there and pull this off. Chargers, I don't know what they did to the football gods to suffer the injury bugs that they have had the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. But Justin Herbert is not 100%. He's dealing with an injury that got aggravated in the game against the Steelers, and he came out in the third quarter. It's appearing like Bosa is hurt, going to miss some time again. Derwin James is suspended for some dirty hits, illegal hits. I don't know how you want to call those. He's always a guy that's kind of played maybe a little bit over the line, right? This is a good opportunity for the Chiefs to go out there, beat up on, get a win over a banged-up Chargers team who's, to me, the prime and only real competition in the division that the Chiefs even need to be slightly concerned about. They're looking like they had some juice, man, with the first couple of games of the year and the addition of J.K. Dobbins. Now that he's healthy, they were running the ball. Justin Herbert was looking like he had some weapons on offense. Did they lose Keenan Allen? But they had some other guys. They were throwing the ball. How big of a game is this, Bo? The Chiefs go out and play, and how you feeling about this one against the Chargers?
No, I think you set it up perfectly. I think it got a lot bigger than it actually was. I think there was a lot of it can be what it is, but now it's just like, oh, this is us being able to put our foot on their necks a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's surprising how depleted they are. Justin Herbert, I don't know, he was listed as questionable. Like, he still practiced a little bit.
Limited.
So I imagine against the Chiefs, right? You're going to expect him to be playing. I don't think you let a twisted ankle or a little plantar fasciitis, whatever he's dealing with, get in your way of going out and trying to compete against the Chiefs, especially your division rivals, the guys that have sent you home and put you out of the playoffs year after year. I think the Chiefs have not lost in SoFi Stadium, if I was reading some stats correct.
That's correct.
Today.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's all just kind of lining up to keep it that way. I think they have 14 players hurt or something like that. A lot of 2 or 3 O linemen are definitely not playing. Like Scott mentioned, a lot of other key defensive guys. It should be fairly easy. I don't know. It's an important game, but it shouldn't be too hard. I mean, if Herbert is healthy and can get out there, it'll be a lot more difficult, obviously. But it's kind of looking like it might not be him. They're kind of pointing all signs that their backup's going to be getting out there to start the game.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's just a little rumor to throw off everyone, we'll see. But
They could definitely be throwing him off the scent a little bit with Justin Herbert. But I want to say the Chargers bye week is coming up in a week or two. And maybe you're tempted to just let him get right 100%, especially with both tackles to start the season are going to be out this game on the offensive line.
Right.
With the way the Chiefs' defensive line has been pressuring the quarterback and Chris Jones and George Karlaftis and company, I don't know if this is the week you rush the guy back and risk maybe further injury and missing even more time. But they also might be looking at, like I just pointed out, that this is almost like a must-win for them to keep pace with the Chiefs if they have hopes for the division. Nick, how are you feeling about this Chargers game, and how big of a game do you think it ends up being?
Yeah, look, like you said, it's not a must-win, but they would effectively be 3 games back after 4 games into the season at that point, which
3 up, you mean?
I mean, you're really looking. I mean, look, it's still a long season. Lots of things could happen, but now you're kind of almost relegating yourself to a wild card, and some of the other good teams are looking like they might be fighting for wild card spots too, right?
Right.
How I feel about the matchup, Harbaugh has come out and he has said we're going to be basically a run team, right? And that's what their success has been this year up until for the first couple of games. And J.K. Dobbins, which could be on the Chiefs, he's not on the Chiefs, has been doing really well for them. But what were we talking about earlier? The strength of the Chiefs defense has been their run defense, right? I mean, they were putting up good numbers against the Ravens, who are a great run team. And then against the Falcons with Bijan Robinson, right? Like so I don't think that J.K. Dobbins is gonna, be a better performer than either of those two guys. So I mean, I feel pretty good about how we match up. If the run's not working, then you're either on a backup quarterback or an injured Justin Herbert. And we've got a really good pass rush with Karl Loftus and Chris Jones and Dana and all. I mean, all those guys are doing well. So I feel really good about this game from how we're going to handle them defensively.
Yeah, their strength going against our strength, right?
Yeah.
I like the Chiefs' chances of slowing down J.K. Dobbins. Do I expect the Chiefs' defense to necessarily slow down all of these top running backs and hold them all to 2 yards a carry for the entire season? That's probably unlikely. That's probably an unrealistic expectation. But if they can just minimize it and hold them to that between 3 to 4 yards a carry range, right, and not let them break the big run,
right?
No home runs, right? Yeah, I like the Chiefs' chances in this game. The Chargers started the year hot, won some games, but they lost to the Steelers. I know Justin Herbert left that game, but it was a game even when he got hurt and he left. So I don't know what to really expect out of Justin Herbert. Is a guy that has played pretty well against the Chiefs in his career. If you go and look at his career numbers against the Chiefs, he plays really good against us. So Chiefs need to go in there. The offense, I think, needs to get it going this week. I'm not saying they got to go out and hang 40 points on this team, but look, if you got Justin Herbert and injured and they're trying to run the ball, right, and slow the game down and maybe get you into a slugfest or a dogfight, if you can go out there and light up the scoreboard and hang 35 points on this team, I think you're going to win relatively easily. So I think Patrick Mahomes is looking to get right. Not that a lot of people are saying he's played bad this year. I don't know that he's played bad. He hasn't been himself. He's had some throws that were definitely not Patrick-like and some of the interceptions. But, you guys mentioned a little bit ago, he's been struggling with pressure, and the left tackle is a concern, man. Even if the rest of the line is doing good, if you're worried about your blind side, right, like if you're worried about your back, that is going to speed you up mentally, and that's like the most worrisome part of the line to struggle with. So maybe Patrick is worried about that. He said he's also been maybe a little bit undisciplined with his footwork and getting back to the fundamentals and the basics. So I fully expect him to look like Patrick Mahomes of old sooner rather than later. What do you guys think the key is for the Chiefs to win this game? Is it going to be the defense? Is it going to be the offense? Who do you think needs to kind of take the reins or take the bull by the horns this week, Bo?
I would love to see the offense kind of step up and, like you said, kind of, be a little bit more productive than what they have been. I don't think Patrick Mahomes has been playing bad. He just hasn't been playing great. And we're so used to seeing him just pull off some of the most impossible moves ever that you're just like, oh, he just had a normal game, right? And nothing spectacular. And everybody's like, wow, is he broken? I would love to see them get everything together. I think he's a little hindered by the play calling. I love Andy Reid. He's such a great coach. He'll get on his press conferences and be like, I got to do better. I'm doing a bad job. I'm doing a bad job. But it's a little conservative for what we have right now. We have some all-stars, and let's take it out for a drive. Let's get them out and let's see what we got. And we saw it with that Mahomes to Rice throw, right? As you were pointing out, there's been some throws where he's just been on point too. Some not so great, but there's been some where you're just like, whoo, all right.
Healthy this past game, right? Just where you could tell he was frustrated.
He's pissed.
Yeah.
I think we put out on the Chiefs Kingdom Live account, like Patrick threw angry. Like Patrick's throwing angry now. Don't drive angry.
You don't want to see him throwing angry.
I don't know. If that's the way it's going to look. I want him to.
I always like when you see him just pissed off. Give me the play. And those fingers start coming out.
That was about the third or fourth play of the game against Atlanta.
He's just like, let's go. Let's go. We saw Michael Jordan, you're just like, all right, it's next level. But for me, I think the real key of this game is going to be on our defense again, sadly. And I think it's just going to be pressuring Herbert. the past has shown us when you can get in his face and disrupt him from passing, like they really have to lean on their run game. And man, our run defense looks awesome right now. So I would try to steer it that way if it were me being the coach. But
yeah, Nick, you think Chiefs need to lean on the defense or the offense against the Chargers this week?
I think the Chiefs just don't need to get that much better offensively. They just need to score when they're near the goal line and in the red zone.
Yeah.
Sure.
They need to score touchdowns.
They moved the ball.
Yeah, so you convert some of those 3s into 7s, then you're gonna have a lot easier game. And so I'll say that, and then they need to figure out their 4-minute offense, right? The Chiefs are getting the ball almost every game in a situation where they can go and close it out, and it's like they just go 3 and out. So I would say that offensively, if we can fix those 2 things, right? Get first downs and grind out the clock at the end, and convert our 1st and 1 at the goal line, or first on and goal at the 1, into 7 points. I think the Chiefs are going to walk away winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good about this game. Chiefs are the better team. They're the healthier team. They should go in there and win this game now. How handily they should win it, maybe that's another discussion. To be 4-0 with the schedule that they had in these first 4 games, those first 2 games against the Ravens and Bengals. I know those teams' records don't look good right now, but those teams are better than that record.
Still formidable, yeah.
They're going to be there at the end of the year. I still believe that those are 2 of the better teams in the AFC. And then to be able to go and get a bucket of guts win, as Mitch Holthus likes to say, against the Falcons on primetime. If you look at the Chiefs' schedule to close out the year, they played 3 of the last 4, and I want to say it's like 5 of the last 7 or something like that on the road. Yeah. So to come out and get this win to go 4-0, and then you get the Saints at home to maybe look at a chance to get a 5-0 start with the way the schedule is a little bit tilted, unbalanced as far as home and away towards the end of the year. Maybe you get an extra week too. Like there's only one team that gets the bye week now. So I think it's even more important than ever to try to be able to be in a position where you can rest your starters that final regular season game of the year. This is a big game for the Chiefs. They need to go out there and they need to go and remind everybody, in case they've forgotten, that they're the team to beat in the AFC. And you had a cute little start to the season, Chargers, but this is still our division. And we're still the defending back-to-back champs. And you are in the rearview mirror and you are playing catch up. So real quick, Travis Kelce. I know Andy Reid said teams have been double and triple covering him and this and that. Are you guys at all worried about Travis Kelce? I don't see Travis Kelce just falling off after 1 year, right? I mean, he had a good year last year, had a slow start to last year. I don't think he just lost it in the offseason, right? And now he's done. Is it age? Is it they saving him a little bit? Is it teams are just, it's that simple? Teams are just blanketing him and putting 2 and 3 guys on him to say Travis Kelce isn't going to beat us? Nick, what's going on with Travis, and how soon do you think he gets back to being Travis Kelce?
Look, I think that he's getting the coverages that they're talking about, but I think part of it is that I don't think they're trying to use Travis Kelce and go to him as much right now, right? Like the Chiefs are, if anything, a smart team. We saw where Travis Kelce was suffering some injuries last year, where he's beat up, and unlike like the Bills, right, which I kind of made a joke about earlier with, Von Miller's getting a sack every game. I'm like, how's he going to do at the end of the season? Right. He's like the same age as Travis Kelce, right? So it's kind of like the Royals, right, where it's like, sometimes like Salvador Perez is the DH, right? Sometimes they have him, on first base because like he's older and his knees, right, as a catcher. Right. Like, yeah. I think that's the role. And from listening to him on New Heights, he's like, I've had a lot of catches in this league, and I think he's okay with accepting that maybe they're trying to, save some of the abuse on his body from getting these hits till later when they've got a guy like Rashee Rice that can step up, be a true number one receiver. And let's be honest, it's better to have a true number one wide receiver, I think, for the most part, than it is to have a really good tight end. Now, when that tight end is Travis Kelce, there's an argument there, right? But I really think that the Chiefs have learned over the years, because like I may have talked about this before, so sorry if it's a repeat, but like the Chiefs, when Andy Reid first came here, they would like be awesome, and then they would just like slump in the middle or towards the end of the season, right? And there was that one year where they started 1-5, and that was kind of an aberration, but they would like be super awesome, and then they'd slump, and then they would maybe come back, and then we would, fizzle out in the playoffs. And I think that just strategically, what Andy has learned is how to not do that, and how to have the team just really grow and like just basically
Not be
in form right at the end of the season.
Not be the Bills.
Not be the Bills. It's exactly, the Bills are like what the Chiefs used to do. They punch themselves out. They put all their stuff on the table. People start to adjust to it. And, you go from, it's like Josh Allen's QB1 in like September. And then now, like last year, the Bills are 6-6, right? Firing their offensive coordinator midseason.
Right.
Barely getting back into the playoffs. Now, they were a 2 seed, but they were one game away from missing the playoffs totally because of the way it rounded out. Like Darius Tony Toe from being out of the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And then they divisional round exit. So I think that's the plan, right? There's a plan. There's the play is like, the game within the game, and then there's like the game, and then there's like the season is like one long game, right? Where like it's like, okay, so how do we position ourselves to be doing the right things and have the right personnel at the right time so that we can make a push and win the Super Bowl? And I really believe that that's what they're doing, and it's worked the last couple of years. So
yeah, Bo, when do you think we see Travis Kelce get back to being TMFK and the old Travis that we're used to seeing?
He still is, man. In my view, like, sure, I feel like there's a wide gap in what the viewing audience wants to see and what the team wants to see, right?
Yeah.
And they're getting wins. I'm pretty sure, as Nick pointed out, he's super content on just playing that blocking role, playing a true tight end role, not being that true relief route, having to take over games when he needs to or when he has to. Having Rashee Rice there, having Xavier Worthy there, having Justin Watson, and not necessarily having to carry that load of the team on your back every single time. I think he's completely content with that. I think Nick's also right in the sense that it's a little bit of load management. I mean, yeah, it's fine if he's not doing it now. Like, if he's not doing this week 8, week 9, and he's still at 2 catches a game, then I'll be a little bit more concerned. But as long as Rashee Rice is having 100-yard games and scoring touchdowns, I'm content with what's going on right now. He's been so clutch for this team that there's no way I'm gonna be like, oh, it's 3 games, it's time to raise an eyebrow. He's washed up. You do see the coverages being double and triple team. Teams are extremely worried about him. You see guys completely they'll leave their coverage and just focus on Travis Kelce and leave our guys wide open. And like I pointed this out last week, I think they're trying to force it to him a little bit too much to kind of like maybe appease the audience in the sense that that throw to Travis Kelce was, I mean, he was there, but he was triple covered, right? And everybody else was wide open on the play last week. Yeah. So I think it's a little bit of both, right? A little load management, a little bit of he's just not open right now. And that's why when we were talking about Rashee Rice, I love the relief that Rashee Rice is giving for that outlet. You're able to not have him take as many hits. I don't know if you guys remember what he looked like after that Rice Bowl game, after the minus 30-degree game. They showed a picture of it, like his hands and his arms the next day, just red and beaten up, man. I mean, when you're the number one receiver and he's the tight end, but I mean, he was what, top 5 pass catcher last year.
Yeah.
He was taking hits, 10, 20 hits a game, man. So I bet you he's more than content with his role right now, being a true tight end.
And the Chiefs have an early bye week this year.
Right. And somebody pointed it out in the comments, man, like he'll show up when you need him to. Like, that's not a guy that doesn't come and work and put 110% into practice, right? Like, he'll be there. Yeah, I have zero concern about where he's at and what he's doing for the team. He's fine in my book.
What do you think?
Yeah, Sonny? I think you see him probably start coming on week 7, week 8, week 9. I think they're definitely saving him. I think the teams are they're focusing on him and taking him out of the game. And I mean, props to Travis for being a team player, right? I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time, and he could break some more records and do this and that. And he's like, hey, man, we're winning games. And if the team needs me to block, that's the other thing, too, is there's been a lot of people putting out that he is out there blocking and breaking things for these other guys. And that was oh, yeah, well, he can't block. That's why George Kittle's better. And then now that he's not having the offensive production and he's out there blocking more and doing it. Oh, what's wrong with Travis Kelce? He's washed. He sucks. Like, get out of here. You want to argue both sides of that coin. So, yeah, although I would not be surprised to see to have a Travis Kelce sighting this week, because he owns the Chargers, right? Chargers and the Raiders are the two franchises that he owns a minority stake ownership in. So, am I going to be surprised if Travis Kelce balls out and has 8 or 9 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown this week? No, I'm not. I'll be very happy for my Dynasty League football team,
this
too.
Is a game they need to use him, right? This is a get, 2+ games up on every team in the division. And
right.
So I think that this is one where it's like, all right, like, you're not the designated hitter tonight, Salvi. We need you, right? We need you.
Yeah.
And
sure.
So I do believe that you're going to see him be more involved in the game plan against the Chargers this week.
Looking forward to that. You guys want to do some score predictions?
Oh, yeah.
Who wants to go first here? Fellas, you, me, Bo, Nick. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So we've got a lot of people, calling for blowouts. So 31-14, Chiefs. Let's go.
Chiefs.
Love it.
A laugher against the Chargers.
Free 3 hours of football is what I really want.
Yeah. It's going to be I wish I knew if Justin Herbert was going to play or not. I think that's going to affect my score prediction a lot, but I think he's going to play. I think you see the Chiefs win this game. The Chargers defense has actually been pretty good. They haven't played the best talent, right? And so far, the most talented teams. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say the Chiefs get to 30, but it's right at 30. I think they win this game 30-21. Oh?
I would love to see 30 right now, right? Like, long way from my.
Can we just get a 30 burger?
Can we just get a 30 burger, like a third pounder? No, sadly, I don't think we're going to take off too much. I think the defense is actually going to score one, though, so I'll go with you guys in the 30s. But I think they're gonna keep it close, like we kind of always do, and we'll see them score somewhere in the 20s. We'll say 21. We'll say 31-21. 10-point win, but it's not going to be a blowout by any means.
31-21. I got 30-21. Liking all those predictions.
Yeah.
Laney's on the board, 28-10. Looks like our one-man show. Brian's in the house. Good to see you, Brian. Hope you're doing good.
What's the spread in Vegas? I didn't even look
Sean, see, I don't know. Someone want to look that up for us? Or one of you guys have access to that? I have not seen. If I had to guess, I'd say the Chiefs are probably about a 5 or 6 point favorite. Janet's putting her score prediction. I think she missed the last part there. 21 to
-8.
Chiefs are 8 point favorite. Ooh, man.
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out where that's saying.
They don't think Herbert's going to play.
Insider.
Yeah, that must be. Yeah, no. If Justin Herbert
Vegas
doesn't play, I want to
has him at -3.
-3. Sorry. That's a little bit closer than I thought.
Let me go to the MGM here.
All right, Jay Long's going 21-10
on MGM.
21-10. I'd like to see him hold him to 10.
7.5 favorites on MGM.
Yeah,
so somewhere between 3 and 8.
Yeah, it looks like we got Chief Central chiming in here about Herbert should probably wait. We talked about that a little bit earlier there, Central. The Chargers are in a tough spot because you got the Chiefs coming to town. You don't want to play Herbert hurt, and you don't want to really risk further injury or delaying the healing process or the recovery process, especially when your offensive line is banged up and the Chiefs, the strength of their defense right now is the front seven and rushing the quarterback.
Any other team, right?
But at the same time, like, do you really just want to cede ground to the Chiefs this early in the year and basically wave the white flag and go 3 games down on them, essentially 2.5 games, however you want to consider the home loss already in the Chiefs' pocket? That's a tough call. I mean, if you're the Chargers, you just got to go out and you just got to say, look, like, if he's ready to play, he's ready. If he's not, he's not, right? Like, if he's not ready, he's not ready. Kevin predicting a sweep begins Sunday, 23-13. I'm liking that score. Big Doug says he's looking and seeing the Chiefs -7.5. I don't know. There must be like mixed reviews on whether or not Justin Herbert's going to play.
Somewhere between a 3 and 18-point win.
That should cover it. I would imagine.
Somewhere in there.
So you have a score prediction, Central?
Send me that betting sheet.
Yeah, I'll put some big money on that. If I can get a 3 to 18-point spread. Yeah. Chiefs -3 or 18. Yeah, I mean, I'm putting some big
Supply
money
chain
down
saying he's been shocked. He's seen a lot of tackles flinch and not get called. There's been a lot. I've noticed a lot of guys leaving early. Even I mean, Juwan Taylor. Seems like
guy,
you know. I don't look it up and slow it down and see exactly. But I think that they've gotten a little loosey goosey on how they call that penalty now. It's
right.
Odd because I remember, I mean, it used to be like if your nose.
It's a little nerve wracking sitting there watching that game. Like, no, okay, no flag,
no flag, okay. Let's go.
Yeah. But he also knows the count, right? So he could be just nailing it, but it doesn't look like that to the eye test.
Right. Travis is bringing up a good point here, bringing up a subject. Maybe we can talk about it real quick. People are upset that the offense is down in the NFL and the points are down and the yards are down, the production's down, big plays are down. There's been a discussion, I don't know by anybody necessarily that has any influence on whether or not a penalty or rule could be made about how teams are allowed to play defense. I'm firmly against that. To me, that's like people that want to ban the shift in baseball. Like, no, man, like you figure out a way, like adapt and overcome, right? Peyton Manning
had to do it.
Yeah, defense had to do it. Peyton Manning, there's been plenty of quarterbacks, even Patrick Mahomes, when he's had some speedsters. I mean, there was still plenty of big plays the Chiefs were making when they had Tyreek Hill and these guys. So I am definitely against that. I assume both of you guys, Bo, Nick, you don't want to see any kind of like rules or penalties about how teams can or cannot line up on defense.
No, man, I've seen so many rules get adjusted for the offense that I'm really happy to see the defense catch up to all of them and make it compatible again instead of score fest, and just really saves my blood pressure just going like, come on, defense, every week, right? So I'm all for keeping it as it is.
Yeah, Nick, I can't imagine you're in favor of unless you want to play devil's advocate here and go against the grain with me and Bo.
The NFL, I'll take a different approach, but the league is it's about copycat and adjustment, right? And it's about, people see something that works, they start doing it, and then it's on other teams or, in this case, offenses to figure out how to adjust, right? But yeah, I've heard plenty of coaches talk about, look, cover 2 isn't just some magical thing that people do on defense that, kills passing. It's existed for a long time, right? All the way back to what it used to be just called Tampa 2. And the offensive coordinators just need to adjust, right? There's still only 11 guys on defense.
Right.
And so I don't think it should be a penalty. I think that, man, there's already enough shit that they got to worry about that to look for. And now it's like, we're going to start outlawing specific types of defenses because, especially, younger quarterbacks are struggling against it. I look, I'm with Supply Chain where he's like, dude, like explosive plays are awesome. Right. But I don't want to just get explosive plays because they're, preventing the teams from being able to play the game. And really what it is it's just an adjustment. And I think it's kind of cool that after all these years of offense just exploding that they figured it out. But I also think that this is more than just cover 2. I think it's they don't get to practice as many times, right? That they have like shortened practices, that they've shortened the preseason. You have a ton of rookie quarterbacks that are just getting thrown into the fire and having to start on bad teams. So I think a lot of that contributes to why you've seen the offense perform the way it has across the league. But Tampa 2 is definitely a part of that, or cover 2 is definitely a part of that.
Teams are.
Should we just call it Tyreek 2 because like he brought it back?
Yeah,
that's why they did it. Against us.
Yeah, Nick, you brought up Tampa 2, or Bo, we can call it Tyreek 2. I like that. That sounds better. But look, it's just one of those deals where teams, they don't play their starters in the preseason games anymore. Nick, you were just mentioning the limited number of practice and padded practices. Offense is about timing, and offense is about repetition, and offense is about like getting a groove, right? Yeah. And the less you practice and the less you play, the less of a groove you're going to be in, and the less your timing and gelling. You hear that talk about, especially like line play and a quarterback and chemistry, right? And guys, it's a negative impact on offenses for sure.
To your point, you see it with individuals, like when they miss a training camp or they miss practices and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, it's going to take him a couple of weeks to get back on the flow of things, right?
We were just talking about Jason Dunn, talking about Nick Bolton needing a few weeks to get up to speed and get back in football shape and get back in the flow and get back to being himself. It took him a couple weeks because he didn't play he missed most of training camp and he didn't really play the preseason. So I think it's the offense come back around. It's just that pendulum's always going to swing back and forth. We all grew up back in the days where defense wins championships, so to speak, right? Not that I guess you could say it still does because the Chiefs have won back-to-back Super Bowls in large part because of their defense. But, we grew up, it was rare that you saw a team score 40 points in a football game, right? I mean, growing up, the Chiefs defense, right? Chiefs, the glory days were Neil Smith and Derek Thomas and Deron Cherry and those guys. That's grew up cutting our teeth on defensive football, and the best teams were the teams that could run the ball and play defense. And so maybe we're just getting a little bit back to that. I mean, there's eras, right, to these things, and it flows back and forth. There's been some people talking about the importance of the running game right now that teams are playing defense and running backs are flashing, and some of your top performing guys right now in the NFL are running backs. Is the importance of the running back coming back? I don't know that like the importance of the running back ever left. I think teams just figured out you don't overpay running backs because you can get them in later rounds. I mean, Kareem Hunt, he was a third-round draft pick, right? Third or fourth round, out of Toledo, and he was like the best running back in the NFL. Like so when he entered the league. So, there's just a little bit of a change, but man, that was an exciting game against the Falcons, right? Needing a defensive stop. It's fun lighting up the scoreboard in these big plays that I miss. I mean, I got the cheetah over my shoulder here, right? I miss the days of the cheetah and his long touchdown plays, right? And exciting 70-yard scores. But playing defense and sacking the quarterback and Nick Bolton making a tackle for a loss on a fourth down, on a 4th and 1 to save a game. That's exciting too. It's still entertaining. I mean, are you guys not as entertained by the NFL this season, or maybe even going back to last year? Because I'm not, Nick.
Yeah, I don't. It hasn't been as exciting. Brands, I just left this up on here. He's traveling from Hawaii to LA to go to the game. So
nice.
We've got our X or Twitter handle scrolling down there at the bottom. If you get some pictures, man, and you got an account, tag us in some pictures. We'd love to see some stuff from the trip, dude. I
don't think he's driving from Hawaii to LA, but he might be flying.
Did I say driving? I meant to. I mean,
they got that bridge done.
Traveling.
Traveling.
Oh, I thought you said driving. So
marijuana is legal here in Missouri. I mean, I don't use it. I mean, that would be a better excuse.
That'd be a great game. I had a coworker went to. He's got a daughter that lives out there in the LA area. He went out there to visit her and went to SoFi, and he said it was an amazing stadium and experience. So
I saw a Galaxy game at SoFi, their MLS team, right? And Ibrahimovic played for him at the time, who was Messi and Ronaldo get all the credit in the soccer world, but Ibrahimovic is easily number 3 and
Right.
a force to be reckoned with. It was quite the spectacle to go see. That stadium's
Right.
no joke, though. I hope you have fun,
Yeah.
man. That'll be a good trip.
Yeah, no doubt. Still trying to plan some trips here. Would like to get out to this Cleveland game and meet our man John V and Nico, our guys out there. So, yeah, you have to have a badass car to drive from Hawaii to California.
I'm not gonna live that shit down for a while, huh?
It's going to be a while. So, I don't know anything else. Any subjects in the chat you guys want to talk about? Maybe goings around the NFL. If you're in the Chiefs Pick'em League, this has been one of the absolutely just like wildest
Last week was wild.
Seasons with teams you think are going to win or be good and they're not. I mean, we're sitting here, we're looking at the Vikings. We talked about when we did our NFL preview show about, the Vikings are going to be in the bottom of that division because J.J. McCarthy's hurt. And we're looking at these teams like the Ravens and the Bengals are going to be the top competition in the AFC for the Chiefs. And that's
couldn't be further.
They've got one win between the two so far to start the year between those two teams. Meanwhile, you've got teams like the Vikings that are 3-0. The 49ers are below 500. This has been a crazy NFL season. Are you guys expecting the cream to rise to the top still here? Or, I mean, is there a changing of the guard? Well, what is going on in the NFL right now? Bo, you're in first place. You're the picks master. You obviously saw this coming somehow.
Dude, blind luck, right? I try to pick like 1 or 2 upsets a week. I think I got like 4 or 5 games right this week. This week was weird. I think out of the 6 teams that were 0-2, they went 5-1 on wins, right? Like they just absolutely crushed it this week. Oh man, I think
people that just always pick the Raiders to lose were like, yeah,
finally. No, it is wild, man. I mean, you see the first 2 weeks are always wild, but then like there was just some storylines in week 3 that just didn't hold true, right? So we saw some 2-0 Giants get taken down. We saw some 0-2 teams win. So just fascinating around the league. I don't know what to make of the NFC. I feel like there's a couple teams up for contention there, right? I would have said that at the beginning of the year the 49ers were destined to take it, but now it looks like there's a couple of teams I feel like in there. The Lions, the Eagles. I mean, none of them have had great performances, right? I would even say Dallas is still kind of in it, even though they kind of sucked it up this past weekend. They came back. They didn't make it as bad of a game as the score reflected, but or other way around. Anyway, but as far as the AFC goes,
game in KC, just let Scotty know he's got tickets. He can get you a better deal. But
there you go.
Sorry, Bo, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Soberbo made those picks, Laney. So Soberbo makes the picks during the week.
She also said that you're cheating. So
no, I mean, no. The only
AFC.
I'm the only person that's got manager mode that can go through and change the games later on. I think in the app there. So if anybody be cheating, it'd be me. And if you look at the standings, I definitely have not been cheating.
You're terrible at cheating there.
I'm bad at cheating.
Place.
I'm not good at cheating. So. Yeah, some of these games are just absolutely insane. Like that,
it's hard to get like your thumb on the heartbeat of what's going on. Right,
yeah.
Dude.
I mean, the Raiders they come out and
at home.
The Raiders come out and they actually get like a decent win, and so then they go and they get their ass whipped by the Panthers who hadn't won a game.
The Panthers,
Maybe we should have saw that coming with the Andy Dalton starting, right? The backup quarterback always comes in for a game or two. And Chuba Hubbard, man, I've been saying for a couple of years, and I'm sorry, man, JT, I don't know, it doesn't look like JT's watching tonight, but he said he's been calling for Chuba Hubbard, man, to get some touches. That guy's a stud, man. He's a good running back. I don't know what's going on there in Carolina.
Andy Dalton this week can beat the Bengals and make them go 0-4 playing for the Panthers. Wouldn't that just
that'd be
the best?
Fascinating.
Burrow and 4. Yeah. Burrow and 4.
What do you guys make of the AFC, man? Are the Chiefs and the Bills the clear runaways here, or is there anybody else that I'm missing? Because like the Texans didn't really show up the way I thought they.
Yeah, they got crushed by the Vikings.
Jets,
Sam
Dolphins
Darnold
are plagued by injury, right?
Yeah,
there's just some teams that I thought were going to do well.
The Steelers are like a fake 3-0, it seems, right?
Right. Yeah, they started 10-0 a couple of years ago, right? And
yeah,
and flopped, and they had like a
better than
very beneficial schedule. Yeah, no, that was another thing we talked about the Steelers. There's no way I would have ever predicted them to start 3-0. I mean, they were down to, should we start Russell Wilson or Justin Fields? Yeah, the Bears cast off and washed up Mr. Limited. They're 3-0. They're in the top of that division. It's been a wild start to the NFL. Definitely unpredictable. If you're not Bo, I guess Bo's been able to predict it pretty well. So,
hey man, I thought the Bears were gonna be a lot better.
Look, here's the deal. I just don't know what to think of the Bills. They do this every year.
Right? Yeah, fascinating.
They start strong. Look, their wins. They eked out a win against the Cardinals, who have looked pretty good really this year, actually. So that's looking like maybe a little bit better of a win, or not as embarrassing. They had to come from behind big time to win that game. And then they smoked the Dolphins, who are having a bad year, and it got worse with the injury to Tua. And then a Jaguars team that I think I picked to win that division, to win their division to start the year. They're winless. They look terrible. They look awful. Terrible. They look like one of the worst, if not the worst team in the AFC right now. So I just don't know what to think of the Bills, man. I'm going to see them do it in November and December before I'm willing to say, yeah, they're the top team. I still think, for whatever reason, I don't know why, that the Bengals are like going to get out of this funk or whatever it is. But I mean, you dig yourself a deep enough hole, it doesn't matter though. I mean,
that's true. They're
0-3 now. Like that's.
But dude, they do that. They do that. How many times have we seen them 0-3, 1-4?
They can do damage as a wild card. Right?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I don't know that they started 0-3. I know they've started 0-2 a couple of times, but they usually rebounded and started winning. I mean, they got a game, like you said, this week against a Panthers team. They should win that game. But man, if they lose that game and you're 0-4, your chances to even make the playoffs at that point, just statistically speaking, are like almost zero.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to say. Houston was a team that we liked at the beginning of the year. Any team can go out and get thumped here and there. They got smoked by the Vikings, but that was a road game. They were missing Joe Mixon, who had kind of been the engine of that offense, along with C.J. Stroud to start the year. So that happens. Unless you're the Chiefs, that's even the more amazing thing about Patrick Mahomes. Like, the Chiefs have never like really gotten smoked, except if you want to consider that Super Bowl getting smoked. Like,
yeah, I'd consider
they never get beat. They never like losing a blowout and you just, what happened there? They lost 30-10. That never happens.
Yeah, the Titans game,
Patrick Mahomes,
27-3, I think that one time, but it's very rare, right?
Out of once or twice
you can name them like games. On your hand,
right? Yeah. It happens to good teams every year. So, look, will I be surprised if the Bills are right there and in the conversation for the top seed at the end of the year? No. Will I be surprised if they go out and lose to some bum squad here in a couple weeks and get a 2 or 3 game losing streak and Josh Allen starts turning the ball over 2 or 3 times a game again? No, I won't be surprised at all. I mean, how are you guys thinking? What is this AFC looking like to you, Nick?
Yeah, look, I think the Texans are still a formidable team. They got beat soundly by the Vikings, but I mean, it's only one game, right? And if you look at the body of work so far in the CJ Stroud era, they're going to bounce back and they're going to be good. Our guy down there, supply chain, we're hoping that they have a good season, right? The Bengals, I don't really find fault in anything you're saying. I think they've got some internal stuff that isn't going right with Higgins and Chase and contracts. On top of that, the slow start, their defense outside of playing the Chiefs for whatever reason,
and the referees, right, are against the Bengals. I mean, the referees are.
Yeah, I mean the
biggest reason.
The referees. I mean, sure, they did give them a pass interference there that allowed them to get the ball at the 1 yard line at the end of the game and then score a touchdown, and then they didn't get the onside kick when they're down 2 scores. But other than that, the Bengals, you just never get any of the calls. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't. The Steelers might, they might pull it off, but that doesn't mean that they're going to go far in the postseason, right?
No.
So it's really, what are the Chargers going to be? Can they keep their team healthy? And they did all this stuff. We were talking about, like, the reduced practices and preseason stuff so that teams could stay healthy. Like, how bad off would the Chargers be if they had done all that extra shit? Like, they always get injured, man.
Right. Always.
AFC wise, I think it's just going to be the Bills, the Chiefs, the Texans. I still think that those are just going to be the teams that are battling it out towards the end. I think Baltimore's going to figure some stuff out, and they're, it's looking like they're like, yeah, let's just really not pass the ball that much, and that's working out for them. So I mean, it
really work out for you when you get to the playoffs. So unfortunately for them,
no, it doesn't seem to. So
yeah.
I mean, all of these things are panning out to be great for Kansas City, and their odds to really three-peat here and make a push for that. I mean, they're
I know that.
Ever, not second team ever to start 3-0 after winning back-to-back Super Bowls, tying the Joe Montana 49ers. So I mean, I'm excited, and I mean, it's looking like the Chiefs are sleepwalking their way through, and they're 3-0, and that's taken everybody's best shot, as Supply Chain said earlier. So,
right, Bo. Who's caught your eye in the AFC right now?
Dude, like, as just going right off Nick's points, I'm trying to get my thumb on the pulse of this because we're just kind of sleepwalking through this, and teams are throwing everything they have at us. They're game planning their best for us, and we're just kind of like, oh, whoops.
Going for fourth downs, going forward at the goal line, like on fourth and goal.
Dude, they have them so flabbergasted. Yeah, they're going for fourth down every single time. You got to get points. You can't, field goals won't do. You got to have touchdowns, right? So it's just awesome watching the league scramble. But when I look out at the rest of the AFC, I'm just, I think it's the Bills kind of like, again, sadly is going to be our main competitor. I mean, Josh Allen looks like he's in pure September form like he always is, but I'm much aligned with you, dude. Like, come a couple months from now, like,
bring it.
Gets colder and that guy seems to just be off a little bit more.
Right. Come play the Chiefs defense too and see how your offense looks.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The rest of the AFC, though, as Nick pointed out, the Ravens look like a shell of themselves. I thought that's what the Bills were going to look like this year, but it turns out that's what the Ravens are doing this year. They don't do that. I honestly don't think they look good. I think they have they have a better shot of missing the playoffs than the Bengals do, in my opinion. The Bengals, to me, like we just pointed out, they kind of always start out this way. They seem to be a little bit in a disarray, but somehow they always seem to turn it around. They have the star power, the cast to do it too, and so like I'm not really too worried about them.
The loss of Joe Mixon has hurt that team more than I think a lot of people anticipated on the Bengals and that running threat. But
and then they replaced an O lineman, and you've seen Burrow under a little bit more duress than he usually was last year. But yeah, it's just hard to say who's going to come out on top. I mean, it looks like us and the Bills, but I feel like there's a couple contenders there waiting in the wings, and I don't think it's the Ravens though.
Let's go, bring them on in the playoffs, baby. Let's get it. Let's get the Bills and Arrowhead again. I'm ready. So yeah, Chiefs got a big game. We kind of broke it down here. Really appreciate everybody watching. The chat's been lively with Janet and our man Brian and Laney and Doug and Maria and some new fans in here. Looks like some new folks swinging by. So really good to see you. Hopefully Brenda's doing okay down there. Looks like they're getting ready for more storms down there in the Gulf. So I don't know how close she is to what that's going on, but obviously hoping and wishing and praying for the best for you, Brenda, down there. We'll be back next week to be talking about the Chiefs after the first quarter of the season, the measuring stick here, looking to go 4-0 and get a good commanding lead in the division. The start to the three-peat really couldn't go any better than it has for the Chiefs this year. So make sure if you haven't already done it, click like or subscribe. Really appreciate it. We are working hard to try to give away this Isaiah Pacheco jersey. So if you know some folks that aren't subscribed to the show, or if you want to share it with them, we'd love to get that thing away. Hopefully maybe we can do that by the time he gets back and starts playing again. So as always, Really appreciate everybody watching. You guys are the best. We love it. Chiefs at Chargers. First division game of the season. Chiefs go out there and get it done. They're going to be looking really, really good and set themselves up for another awesome season. So until next week, Wednesday night, we'll see you then. Let's go Chiefs.
Let's go Chiefs.
Let's go Chiefs.